All right, so day 2, well, technically not because we had a week of cutting trees, but day 2 of excavation anyway. You're wondering what working in the mountains is like? Again, this is 3 hours away from where we live, hour and a half from any town of size at all, and that's actually a pretty small town. But this is kind of what it's like. We blew a hydraulic line on the skid steer yesterday, waiting for parts. We had to send somebody down to that town to get them. And then before we left, that's what we had to deal with. A flat tire too. You know, stuff happens, and that's just the way it goes. That stuff happens in town, or you know, by where you're located, and it's not that big of a deal. But when you are that far away from pretty much anything, well, it is a big deal. So let's kind of take a look at what's going on. Getting some brush moved, setting up the laser, doing some compacting, had some road base brought in for final grading. So things are going. By the end of today, we should have this hole finished, graded, ready for concrete. And those guys should be in another day or so. So yeah, that's where we're at. And we'll see what we can get done, how far we can get. And in the meantime, we have also this pile of brush that needs to be hauled out. So as we can, we fill up the dump trailer and we haul out a load. And the logs still need to be out of here. They're kind of in the way as well. So yeah, that's the day in the life, I guess you could say, of working in the mountains of Wyoming. I have a feeling it's probably the same in other places, but maybe not, because most places have a larger population. So you go maybe a shorter distance from maybe your job site to a city of any sort of population. In this case, that's just not it. So yeah, hopefully we have a good day. So I'm hauling logs, or not logs, brush and limbs from tree cutting up to the top of the mountain and dumping them on the brush pile. They will burn them in the winter when the snow is on the ground, so it doesn't catch the forest on fire. I think that's always a good thing. It's nice to have a brush pile, but it is a bit of a long drive, and then the road's windy. It's kind of four-wheel drive into it, but it's a beautiful view when you get up to the top. So if you're thinking about building a home in one of these areas, like one of these remote areas, some of the things that you need to think about are obvious, but some of the things you need to think about are not so obvious. I think most people do consider accessibility, but very few people really have a full grasp of what that means, and the reality of what that's like. We just had a dump truck in here. That was not an easy sort of thing, but it certainly gets more complicated when we get a trailer involved. So yeah, it's just one of the things you need to think about. So accessibility, how do I get into the job? How do I get out of the job? The other thing is what do I do with stuff once I'm at the job, like on the job site? This job, the homeowner would like to save all the trees that they can, and I think that's great, but with that means that we have some limited space to work and limited space to store equipment, materials, job trailers, things like that. So yeah, those are things to consider. in the end, as much as you know, I hate to say this, and I'll probably say it a number of times as we go forward, in the end, those things cost money. You know, bringing gravel in, equipment in, that sort of thing, there's an inconvenience, and it's not just like a mental inconvenience. There's a physical inconvenience, and inconveniences cost money, not because they put us out emotionally, but they actually cost time, is what they do, and that's just the reality. Time is money. So yeah, well, let's haul this up to the top and get it dumped. Quite the view. Really pretty awesome. See, it really is at the top of the mountain. All right, so we talk about coordination, planning, that sort of thing, anytime you're working on a job in general, but it's so much more important when you're working out of town on a project that's so far away. And so normally we don't do our own excavation. Typically we hire Fry Gravel to do our excavation. This is no different. The difference is being this far out of town means that we really need to be hands-on during the entire process. So we help lay it out, we help dig. I've been running a skid steer for a couple days. Caden was running the grade stick while Spencer was digging this morning. And you know, it's just kind of all hands on deck to make sure we get things done and in a reasonable time frame. So right now, if you see, Spencer has started digging the over excavation for the monolithic slab. So this is a thickened edge, you might call it. We do a lot of these when we do slabs. So he will go along and dig deeper around the entire perimeter. This is a slab and a footer combined all together. So yeah, next step.